Top 10 things to avoid in order to do hydrostructural wall technique correctly. 1. All pressure is transmitted from the practitioner's body through the upper and mid-abdomen of the person receiving the correction. Stop trying to push on any other part of their body to create movement. Instead, utilize the hydraulic tissues in the body, doing it the way hydrostructural teaches. There is only one way to do hydrostructural when you figure out how to do it correctly. You will be astonished at how little effort it takes, and the results are going to be light years ahead of any other method you've tried in the past. 2. Do not push on the person's elbows, arms, shoulders, or rib cage to squeeze in the pressure. The rib cage is an epicenter for compensation, and you do not want to risk pushing the rib cage down even more and aggravating the muscles or joints in these areas. Plus, when you push through these areas, you will always change the angle of the person into extension. Stop pushing through the elbows and chest to get the best results with hydrostructural. Learn the technique that hydrostructural teaches and go through the person's abdomen the correct way, utilizing the hydraulic tissues there to move, slide the structures back into place with ease. 3. Do not squat, bend at the knees, and then try to push the pressure up into the person's body. This will almost always change the angle so that you cannot get the proper anterior to posterior correction movement. Stop squatting down and trying to use the pressure of your knees straightening out to make corrections in the body. You will always get the wrong angle and will not be able to utilize the hydraulic tissues effectively. If you do this, you will always end up pushing on the person's elbows and chest, creating problems there. 4. Do not push with high velocity. This is a mistake. Move slowly, like you would when walking underwater. If you move too fast, you get stuck in your own vortex. The same is true when you use high velocity to push on someone's body. The correct way to do the maneuver is by using your body as it goes from bent over to more straight while contacting the person's abdomen. By wedging your body in from your feet and leaning your body weight in, you increase the pressure on the abdomen just enough to make things move. It is a lot easier than you can imagine. Stop wearing yourself out and injuring your body as well as the other person's body by using high velocity to make things move. It is dangerous as it collapses their body and hurts your body, especially if you're jumping into elbows and people's chests all day long. At the end of the day, both you and the people you adjust will have chest, shoulder and arm problems from making these mistakes. This is the incorrect approach, so stop doing that if you want to fix the body with ease and save your body from self-inflicted injuries. 5. Do not push their body into your blocking fulcrum hand with any great force, as it is not the hand that is on the spine that accomplishes the movement, but rather the internal hydraulic pressure created as you squeeze into the person's abdomen with just the right amount of pressure and nothing extra. Stop trying to push their body into your blocking fulcrum hand to create movement. 6. Stop trying to force things to move. Instead, wait for the person to relax their body before you do the correct and final push. Don't rush things. Do each step correctly as hydrostructural teaches, and wait for the person to relax. At that moment, you will barely have to use any energy to make them move if everything is lined up correctly. Stop trying to force things to move. Be patient and wait for the person to relax. Things are much easier to move than you can imagine doing it any other way. 7. Stop using traction to try and lift the person's body up to push pressure into the interior blocking fulcrum hand. This will always cause problems, whether you push gently or with great force. Of course, pushing with greater force does more damage. Doing this is unnecessary. 8. Do not shrug the person's shoulders up when doing the correction. This will always create a change in the angle and will cause the person to not be able to relax enough to receive the correction movement. Their shoulders should stay in a neutral position. Stop shrugging their shoulders up. 9. Stop trying to lift their body up once you get them into the correct position. You do not need to lift their body up, as it only takes a very small movement to complete the correction. Their body almost stays in the same place when you have them come forward into flexion, assuming that you got everything set up correctly and you're doing it the way hydrostructural teaches. 10. Understand all of the different ways that you can move the body and why most of them are incorrect. Hydrostructural only teaches to move the body in one way, which is from flexion to back, anterior to posterior movement. It is a myth that there is more than one way to do it correctly. This is just not true. There are a lot of ways to do it wrong, and hydrostructural teaches you one way to do it, which is a true anterior to posterior movement. The only way this can be done is by utilizing the hydraulic tissues inside the body. Anything else forces the body to move, and it is, in fact, a posterior to anterior movement, no matter what you've been told by others. Hydrostructural is always clear about what is the correct way to do the maneuver and what is the incorrect way and what are the various incorrect ways of doing the maneuver. This is something you will not find any other technique, as they have not discovered the important fact that the only way to accomplish a true anterior to posterior movement is by utilizing the body's hydraulic tissues. Hydrostructural, as far as I can tell, was the first technique to emphasize the importance of biohydraulic science.